In this lesson, we're going to talk about two types of angle relationships. We have complementary angles and we have supplementary angles. Complementary angles are simply a pair of angles that have a sum of 90 degrees. Okay, so if you look up in the corner of the room or even at the ceiling, you see lots of corners or lots of right angles. So one way maybe to help you remember that complementary is 90 degrees is think of the C for corner, and that might help you remember that it's 90 degrees. Another little trick is if we take our C, we can easily form a 9 out of it for 90 degrees. So if you didn't catch how I just drew that, go back and rewind the video so you can see that. If we're supplementary is a pair of angles that have a sum of 180 degrees. Okay? Supplementary 180 degrees. So think about the letter, and maybe a little trick, think about the letter S. We can take the letter S and we can very easily turn it into an 8, and there's that 180 degrees. So just some little tricks to help you connect those two things. So similar to what we did with triangles, we're now going to need to write some equations and solve for what it's asking for. Okay, so in the first example, it says the measure of angle B. And you may be saying, well, Miss Adams, where's angle B? Here is angle B. Okay. Notice these two angles, if we connect them together, notice that makes a semicircle. Half a circle is 180 degrees, and so this is an example of supplementary angles. My pen is not wanting to write. These are supplementary. Supplementary, okay? And so all we're going to do is take our two angles and add them together and put them equal to 180 degrees. So we have the 33 degree angle plus angle X or angle B. And that's it. That's what our equation looks like. Very important that we can write the equations because a lot of times that's all they want you to do. So very important that step. If we solve now for X, this is just a one-step equation. All we have to do is subtract 33 and we get X equals 147. Now, because angle B is X, then that's all we have to do. We can say that X and angle B are the same thing. You're going to see in a minute that isn't always the case. Okay, in our next example, we have a nice right angle. You see that little square in the corner. So this would be an example of complementary angles. Complementary. Okay, and again, all we have to do is add them together and put them equal to 90 degrees. So we're looking for angle D. This is going to be our angle D. X plus 31 equals 90 is how we would write that equation. And so now to solve this, all we have to do is subtract 31 from both sides. If we do our subtraction, we're going to have to borrow. And we should get, whoops, I totally messed up here. Should get 59. And again, angle D is X. And so we can simply say that angle D is 59 degrees. Remember, at any point, if you need to rewind the video, then please do that. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says angles J and K are complementary. So immediately we know our equation should be equal to 90 degrees. Angle J is 4x plus 5 degrees. Angle K is 15 degrees. Find the value of x and the measure of each angle. Well, we already know angle K. It straight up said angle K is 15 degrees. Done with that. Let's go back now and let's finish writing our equation. So we have one angle that is 4x plus 5. So we're going to say 4x plus 5 plus angle K, which is 15, equals 90 degrees. Remember, we talked about like terms, and so we need to identify our like terms. The 5 and the 15 are both constants, so we can combine those together to make 20. And so this is what our equation looks like now. And now we're down to just a regular two-step equation. So I think that you can probably solve that very quickly on your own. We would subtract 20. 4x equals 70. Now we have to divide by 4, so it's going to take a little more work. It's not a nice, pretty, easy, right off the top of your head number. Do your subtraction. You're going to have to add a decimal and a 0. So 17.5 is what x is. So here, x is equal to 17.5. But notice there isn't, angle J is not just x. It's 4x plus 5. So what we have to do is in 4x plus 5, wherever we see an x, we have to replace it with 17.5. So we're going to say 4 times 17.5 plus 5. So really important, you've got to pay attention. Are they asking for x? Are they asking for the angle measure? What do they want? So I'm going to run out of space, so I'm going to come over to the right and do 17.5 times 4. Some of you may be realizing, hey, there's another way I could do this, and there absolutely is. 70 plus 5 is 75 degrees. Remember, angle J and angle K were complementary, which means together those two angles should add up to 90 degrees. So that might have been a faster way for you to kind of figure out the missing angle J, or to also double check yourself. Okay, on the last example, it says angle L and M are supplementary, which means they are equal to what? I hope you said that they are equal to 180 degrees. It says angle L measures 37. Angle M measures 13x. What is the value of x? And what is the measure of angle M? So we already know L. And you already may be thinking, well, Miss Adams, we can just get this really easy. But remember, I told you, very important that we can set up the equation. So angle L is 37 plus angle M, which is 13x. We have to be able to generate that equation. Basic two-step equation here. So let's solve it. Let's cancel out our constant of 37. 13x equals 143. And now I need to do 143 divided by 13, because remember, one of the questions they asked was to find the value of x, or they wanted to know what is x. So 13 goes into 14 once, and then once again. So x is 11. The measure of angle M, okay, we could take 13x and then plug in 11 for x and do 13 times 11. We could also take 37 and do 180 minus 37. Either way, we should get 143 degrees. Okay, make sure you answer the statement down at the bottom and then glue into your notebook.